honor of International Women's Day, FIA-New England curated a dynamic event titled Empowering Change, a call to political action on March 8th. Led by moderator Jyoti Singh, director of FIA, the celebration underscored the significance of women's progress while fervently advocating for increased female participation in politics. Distinguished panelists, including Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos and others, brought diverse perspectives to the fore. Lieutenant Governor Matos kick-started the dialogue with a compelling call for women to actively shape political landscapes and dismantle barriers to inclusivity. The discussions traversed various crucial topics such as female health advocacy, delving into challenges and solutions and discrimination in healthcare facilities, proposing actionable strategies to combat bias and discrimination.
Thank you, Jyoti, for inviting me, and thank you to Abhishek also and to FIA. It's a pleasure and an honor to be among such trailblazing women and to listen to their stories and also take so much and learn so much from them. To your question on the challenges that the women today face, Jyoti, I've been covering the UN for almost 12 years now, and the biggest challenge that I have seen in my reporting when I write about them is the conflicts across the world. They have been increasing, going on, and the main brunt or the biggest brunt of any conflict that happens anywhere in the world is borne by women and children. If we take the latest examples of the conflict in Gaza or the Ukraine war, women and children have been the hardest hit, hardest impacted, whether it's in terms of casualties, injuries, displacements. So that is something we talk about at the UN, we hear about at the UN also every day as to how these global challenges and conflicts are impacting women the most.
I was able to be there together with, there were women that were born here in the United States, but there were several women that were immigrant like myself that came as an adult, that left behind, some of them already had their career and left them behind and came to this country and had to start new. In having the opportunity to hear their experience and their story helped me understand that once that what I was feeling wasn't just unique to me, and two, that there was a network of other women willing to support me and help me move forward. So those are the spaces that we need, ones to help us support one another, but also to help us understand what are those policies and issues that we should be working and on and advocating for. So I will say that one thing I recommend is anytime that you have an opportunity to continue to learn and to join any development group, any leadership group, institution, I would encourage you to do that.
On it and not much. I'll come back to the healthcare issues. I feel there's a lot of inequality, and we are here to break the glass ceiling and not the typical stereotypes being the typical stereotypes. I think that's why we were all gathered here today. Health issues. Breast cancer is a huge issue, and not everybody know or have the access to get breast cancer screening, mammograms, regular mammograms. That's one big issue. Either they don't know that they should get. I've seen that also in several patients, and I'm sure Dr. Rodriguez agrees with me on that. And two, where will they go and get the things done, get their mammograms done? Of course, the primary cares, but we also have to understand, because of the pandemic, getting back to the primary cares, either they would have lost connection with the primary cares, or getting back to the primary cares is also hard now.
Yes.
Okay, so mammograms is one thing, breast cancer is one big issue, and the cervical cancer, that's another big issue as well. Young women, we are talking about women and girls as well today. So for them to get access to medical care, get their cervical cancer pap smears done, so those would be the bigger challenges, I feel. Basic things, even preventive medicine is the most important thing. The pap smears, cervical cancer screening, breast cancer screening, I would start there, actually.
In other words, it really bothers me that if women's care are being ignored, Because the way I look at it is, and I'm much older than many of you here, is that women are essential to healthcare. We start off as patients, as young ladies, as teenagers, and then, in midlife, we have, we bring our children, we bring our parents, and we bring our spouses to healthcare, and then later in life, we're kind of in the sandwich. So all throughout, the institutions that don't pay attention to us, I mean, I'm just focusing on healthcare, and that's such also a wide variety, as she just mentioned, in terms of having screenings and so on and so forth. But just pay attention to us, because we're essential to every society, not just here, not around the globe.
Me being able to survive in the military, I think when you have this perception, like when you are considered attractive, you're also considered sometimes fragile, and there's a perception of you that you can't handle those kind of things. So that was from friends that questioned my ability to survive in the military. So I joined the military, and interestingly enough, I get this question all the time, is the question of sexual harassment, and a young, attractive, I was 18 years old, woman joined the military. And what was interesting, and something I think we all need to consider, is it wasn't, I think one of my biggest struggles in the military did not come from my brothers in arms. Oftentimes it was the small amount of females that I would serve under and with that would not support me, which was very interesting. And I experienced that more often than you would think. So I think as women, we need to reflect upon how we treat other women. The number of times that I was treated poorly by women in the military was surprisingly more often than you would think. I think when I joined the military, I had this perception I had to prove myself. And I think any unrepresented group of people, or underrepresented group of people, you have this feeling that you have to do more. So I felt like, I worked so hard to prove myself, to show that I could do the same amount of work as the men that I served with.
Telling them that this is what you want, and we can all do it. All of us can run for elections, not just talk about it. We can run for elections, we can be there, be a strong force, and it doesn't matter what color you come from, what culture you come from. America is such a good melting pot that it brings in, it's an inclusive community, it's an inclusive society. We can bring in so many different perspectives to, on the table, that we can cover a lot of ground if we are there on the table. Stand outside the door and knock, and nobody's going to listen to you. So the confidence has to come from the teachers in the schools, and I think that's where the schools can play a role.
You have a right to how you feel, you have a right to what you want to say, and you have to say it in a voice that is clear and understanding, in the fact that what you want and what you want to achieve in life is important, and that you have that right to say that, and give them that confidence and that understanding, and help them shape what they want to say, and make sure that they say it with a strong voice, and lead with compassion, and understand that they're just as important, and their rights need to be heard. And I say that to all of my students, that no one can tell them what they can and can't do. Only them can tell them what they can do.
I want to add, you should report it, don't be afraid, and you should learn. There are a lot of support networks, both in the Asian community and in the mainstream. And, I just launched a year ago a new initiative on global peace, and that's one of my pillars, is helping survivors of domestic violence. And during the pandemic, that became really bad, because women, everyone, you're forced to be at home, so you cannot even escape your perpetrator because of the COVID that was going on outside. Of course, now the things are different, but at that time. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.